The 2023 NATO Summit was held the day before yesterday in Lithuania. It was a significant event in global politics because Sweden was accepted into NATO alliance. The neighboring Finland was accepted into NATO membership last year. It is a significant improvement in terms of global political balance, given the fact that President Putin of Russia had invaded Ukraine. Sweden and Finland shares borders with Russia. What this means to President Putin in particular and to Russia is what makes this event so significant. In effect, President Putin is being squeezed along his borders, and he knows it. Now, with war in Ukraine in its second year, Ukraine is being aided by NATO members. What this means to Russia is that this squeeze will culminate in two choices for Russia. One is for President Putin to remain in power. That will result in the escalation of the war in Ukraine. Or the second choice is for Russia to embrace a regime change. Either of those two choices will have to happen because what you don't want is a power vacuum in Russia. If the escalation of the war in Ukraine is inevitable, then that will disrupt the peace and prosperity of all nations in global politics. That is the other part of the significance of this NATO summit, adding Sweden to its membership. President Erdogan of Turkey had played a big role in the addition of Sweden to NATO alliance. He is a smart politician and he leveraged his position with respect to adding Sweden to NATO alliance to increase its military power in the Mediterranean region, sharing borders with Greece. President Erdogan, with the additional military power he received from the US in particular, has emerged as a regional power in global politics. The NATO expansion also represents the advancement of the New World Order in the pursuit of peace and prosperity for all nations. But in the absence of balance of power in global politics, it can turn out to be a disastrous proposition with just one nation's foul play if and when that happens. That leaves China emerging as a superpower in the balance of power in global politics. If China recognizes its role in global politics towards peace and prosperity, then that will be a good thing. If the escalation of the war in Ukraine can be avoided, then the global projections will hold not only in the balance of power in global politics, but also in the prospects of world economy. Recently, in 2022, the United States has launched Indo-Pacific Economic Framework for Prosperity, that is called IPEF, with Australia, Brunei, India, Fiji, Indonesia, Japan, Malaysia, New Zealand, Philippines, Singapore, Thailand, South Korea, and Vietnam. This framework is a new initiative that is suited for the evolving, most modern economies of Asia Pacific region, encouraging competition. The previous Asia Pacific alliance of the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, that is ASEAN, initiated in 1967 by Indonesia and Malaysia, was more or less dormant, not enough to address modern economy of Asia Pacific region. The IPEF, therefore, actually contributes to the balance of power in global politics. The projected political balance of power must be maintained in global politics in order for all nations and their people to advance with peace and prosperity.